I still hear the call. It happens when I sleep. Deep in my dreams there's always a world that forms in the very corners of my mind just out of sight, a paradise that I always imagine and seek out, a bright world full of music, a dreamscape that I'm always chasing. A world where all the broken teeth I've gained are worth it. A world where all the friends I've lost to drugs and alcohol seem like a worthwhile trade-off, a time and place where the wars my species has fought are worth the blood of others. Yet here I stand in the year of our sin 2024. And I am yet to see the light at the end of the misery business that floods life in our year. To see the ones I've grown with fall flat on their face from the press of start, to witness the grand failures of politicians that we are told to trust year in and year out, it weigh heavy on one's mind and soul. We live for but such a brief moment, yet we trust others more often than ourselves. We rally behind policy we will never read ourselves. We dress in reds, blues, yellows, and the like of our party in question. But all the rally cries never bring change, does it? No, we still year after year are chasing some great big dreamland. Our quote-unquote stories of hope are stories of dreams, our great big city of self-worth that we strive to build every day. But only if you follow our rules. That's always the big kick in the pants, isn't it? Only if you follow their rules. What's the big point of being in some land of the free if I'm always under someone's rules? Why am I in a land where I'm told to vote for what I want, then in the same breath be told I wasted my vote for not going with the lesser of two evils? Yet the lesser of two evils never launch the programs they promised, they never send the money where they claim to have sent it, they never ever seem to take light in what they have failed to deliver. No, year in year out they tell us they will be the ones to save us all, yet all I ever witness is more people suffer. The homeless line the streets of my city, their faces etched with the stories of lives broken by promises that never materialized. Children go hungry while their parents struggle to make ends meet, trapped in a cycle of poverty that the powers that be seem to either ignore or exacerbate with their hollow words and ineffective policies. The air is thick with the acrid stench of despair, a reminder of dreams deferred and hopes shattered. I walk among these shadows of society, my heart heavy with the weight of collective disillusionment. The corners of my mind, where that elusive paradise lingers, seem to mock me with their unattainable perfection. Each step I take is a reminder of the gulf between the world as it is and the world as it could be. My feet tread upon the cracked pavement, each fissure a testament to the fractures in our civilization. In the darkness of the alleyways, I see the ghosts of my past friends lost to the siren call of substance abuse, their laughter now a distant echo in the cavern of my memories. Their faces appear in the fleeting glimpses of my dreams, their eyes pleading for a salvation that never came. The broken teeth, the scars, the silent screams of those who once stood beside me in the battle against life's unrelenting cruelty, they haunt my every waking moment. It's in these silent hours of the night, when the world is draped in the cloak of darkness, that I feel the most alone. The weight of our collective failures presses down on my chest, making it hard to breathe. The news blares from every screen, a relentless parade of atrocities and betrayals. Politicians, with their polished smiles and empty rhetoric, speak of hope and progress, yet all I see is a deepening chasm of despair. The city, my city, is a labyrinth of sorrow. The towering buildings, once symbols of human achievement, now loom like silent sentinels, bearing witness to the unraveling of our social fabric. The streets are filled with the hollow eyes of those who have given up on finding a way out. The once vibrant colors of community have faded into a monochrome palette of apathy and resignation. I find myself questioning the very fabric of our reality. What is the point of dreaming if our waking moments are filled with such unending suffering? Why do we continue to play this game, following rules that only serve to tighten the noose around our necks? The dreamland we chase seems to be nothing more than a cruel mirage, shimmering on the horizon, always just out of reach. As I navigate through this bleak landscape, I can't help but feel the stirrings of something darker within me. A part of me wants to succumb to the nihilism that gnaws at the edges of my consciousness. To let go of the futile pursuit of a better world and embrace the chaos and destruction that seem to be our true destiny. But another part of me, a stubborn spark of defiance, refuses to let go of the dream entirely. It is this internal conflict that keeps me awake at night, staring at the ceiling, lost in thought. The voices of my past, the ghosts of those I've lost, whisper to me in the silence. They urge me to keep fighting, to not let their sacrifices be in vain. Yet, the weight of reality is a constant reminder that perhaps we are doomed to repeat the same mistakes, over and over again, trapped in an endless cycle of despair. In the end, what choice do I have but to continue? To keep moving forward, one step at a time, even if the path is shrouded in darkness. The call of that elusive paradise may be a cruel joke, but it is a joke I am compelled to chase. For in the chasing, in the relentless pursuit of something better, perhaps there lies the only meaning we can find in this God-forsaken year of our sin, 2024. And so, I walk on, through the broken streets of my city, through the shattered dreams and the haunted memories. I walk on, because to stop would be to admit defeat, to let the darkness consume me entirely. I walk on, because somewhere, in the very corners of my mind, that bright world still calls to me, a beacon of hope in an otherwise hopeless world. As the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, the relentless grind of existence began to erode the fragile boundaries of my sanity. The call of that elusive paradise, once a beacon of hope, started to feel like a cruel mockery, a spectral laugh echoing in the chambers of my mind. The world around me, already steeped in despair, began to take on a darker, more sinister hue. The faces in the crowds twisted into grotesque masks of suffering and malice. The homeless, once pitiable figures, now seemed to leer at me with accusing eyes, their gaping mouths forming silent screams that reverberated through my skull. The children, those innocent souls trapped in a cycle of poverty, transformed into harbingers of doom, their laughter a cacophony of impending madness. Sleep became a distant memory, each night a battle against the encroaching darkness. My dreams, once a sanctuary, morphed into nightmarish landscapes where the ghosts of my past danced around me in a macabre waltz. Friends lost to drugs and alcohol appeared as twisted caricatures, their skeletal hands reaching out to drag me into their abyss. The bright world I once chased turned into a labyrinth of torment, a hellscape that mirrored the reality I sought to escape. It was in this state of disarray that I started to hear the whispers. At first, they were faint, barely discernible above the noise of my thoughts. But as the days passed, they grew louder, more insistent. They spoke of hidden truths, of dark secrets buried beneath the veneer of our civilization. They told me that the world I saw was a lie, a carefully constructed illusion designed to keep us all in chains. I tried to ignore them, to cling to whatever remnants of rationality I had left. But the whispers were persistent, gnawing at my resolve, eroding my will. They spoke of a grand conspiracy, a malevolent force that orchestrated our suffering, feeding off our despair. They told me that the politicians, the ones who promised salvation, were mere puppets, their strings pulled by unseen hands. The weight of these revelations pressed down on me, driving me to the brink. I began to see patterns in the chaos, connections that were invisible to others. The news, once a source of information, became a twisted puzzle, each story a piece of a larger, more sinister picture. The faces on the screens, the polished smiles and empty rhetoric, were masks hiding the true horrors beneath. One night, unable to bear the whispers any longer, I ventured out into the city. The streets, bathed in the sickly glow of streetlights, seemed to close in on me, the buildings towering above like monolithic tombstones. I wandered aimlessly, the whispers guiding my steps, drawing me deeper into the heart of darkness. In a secluded alley, I found them. A group of shadowy figures huddled together, their faces obscured by the darkness. They were the architects of our suffering, the puppeteers pulling the strings. The whispers told me what I had to do, urged me to take action, to end the cycle of despair. Driven by a madness I could no longer control, I confronted them. Words were exchanged, accusations hurled into the night. They laughed, a chilling sound that echoed in the narrow alley. And then, without warning, they lunged at me, their hands clawing, their eyes gleaming with malevolent intent. The struggle was brutal, a frenzy of violence that left me battered and bleeding. But in the end, I stood victorious, their lifeless bodies sprawled at my feet. The whispers, now a cacophony of triumphant cries, told me I had done well, that I had struck a blow against the forces of darkness. But as I stood there, drenched in blood, the reality of my actions began to sink in. The faces of the fallen were not those of malevolent puppeteers, but of ordinary people, victims of my own delusions. The whispers, once a source of guidance, now seemed to mock me, their laughter a symphony of my own insanity. I stumbled out of the alley, the weight of my actions pressing down on me. The city, once a labyrinth of sorrow, now seemed a living nightmare, a reflection of the madness within. The bright world I once chased was gone, replaced by an unending darkness. I was a prisoner of my own mind, trapped in a cycle of despair and violence. The whispers, now my constant companions, urged me on, driving me to further acts of madness. And as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, I descended further into the abyss, my sanity a distant memory, my soul lost to the darkness. The year of our sin, 2024, became a never-ending nightmare, a testament to the fragile boundaries of sanity and the dark depths of human despair. And in the heart of that darkness, I stood alone, a madman chasing an unattainable dream, lost in a world of my own creation. Lancaster City Gazette. June 19, 2024. Breaking news: mysterious murders in downtown Lancaster. Lancaster City. The residents of Lancaster City woke up to a chilling revelation this morning. An eerie quiet hung over the usually bustling downtown area as police cordoned off an alley where a gruesome scene had been discovered. 3 bodies, brutally slain, were found in the early hours of the morning, sending shockwaves through the community. The victims, identified as local homeless individuals, were found by a passerby who immediately alerted authorities. The Lancaster Police Department has launched an intensive investigation into the murders, which they have described as disturbing and brutal. The bodies showed signs of a violent struggle, and investigators are combing the scene for any clues that might lead them to the perpetrator. "We are urging anyone with information to come forward," said Police Chief Emmett Torres in a press conference. "This is a heinous crime, and we need the community's help to bring the person responsible to justice." The murders have left the city reeling, with residents expressing fear and confusion. "I can't believe something like this could happen here," said local shop owner Samuel Green. "It's terrifying to think there's someone capable of this kind of violence walking our streets. A city in crisis." This shocking event is just the latest in a series of troubling incidents that have plagued Lancaster City. Rising homelessness, increasing crime rates, and a palpable sense of despair have been gnawing at the fabric of the community. Many residents have voiced concerns over the city's declining state, pointing fingers at local politicians and their unfulfilled promises. "We've been let down time and again," said Jane Roberts, a community organizer. "The politicians come around every election cycle with their grand promises, but nothing ever changes. People are suffering, and it feels like no one in power cares." A descent into madness. Amidst the backdrop of these societal woes, a darker narrative has emerged. In the past months, several reports have surfaced of individuals experiencing severe psychological distress. One such case involves a local man, whose identity remains undisclosed, who has reportedly been battling severe insomnia and hallucinations. Neighbors describe him as a once kind and hopeful individual who has become increasingly paranoid and erratic. "He was always talking about dreams and a better world," said a neighbor who wished to remain anonymous. "But lately, he's been different, darker, more agitated. He kept saying he was hearing whispers, that he needed to do something to stop the suffering." This individual is now a person of interest in the ongoing murder investigation. Authorities have not released further details, but they urge the public to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activity. A city on edge. The murders, coupled with the growing sense of unease, have left Lancaster City on edge. Community leaders are calling for increased support and resources for mental health services, arguing that the city's struggles are not just economic but deeply psychological. "We need to address the root causes of this despair," said Dr. Angela Bennett, a local psychiatrist. "People are losing hope, and when hope is lost, the consequences can be devastating." As Lancaster City grapples with this tragedy, the community's resilience will be tested. In a time of fear and uncertainty, the hope is that unity and collective action can begin to heal the wounds and restore a sense of safety and sanity to the streets of Lancaster. The investigation continues, and the Lancaster Police Department has promised to keep the public informed as new details emerge. In the meantime, the city mourns the loss of 3 of its most vulnerable members and prays for a swift resolution to this horrifying chapter in its history. For further updates, stay tuned to the Lancaster City Gazette. By Lisa Harmon, Senior reporter.